and passion.
Over to Kobe. Three-pointer by Kobe. Good. Boy, did he bring his three-point game tonight.
And the history of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Magic down the middle, just what I thought. A hook shot at 12. Good!
It's the celebration of the greatness.
Hand off to Kobe. Oh! Two-handed slam dunk on the weak side.
And legendary performances.
9 to shoot. Gets the screen, pulls up like one three. Buries it. 70 for Kobe. What did you say?
I saw Kobe score 81 points.
From Kobe Bryant as he plays his farewell season. It's also a look to the future.
Left side, Hibbert, down low, Clarkson in front of the rim, scores, and the Lakers have the lead.
The history of one of the greatest franchises in sports is made here. The ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network. This is the ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network.
Clarkson right side to Russell. Three-pointer for the tie. It's good.
Your official home of Lakers basketball. A new hope.
Randall in traffic. 8-foot follow. A top shot. Julius Randle buries it.
Veteran leaders.
Kobe's got it. Three-pointer for the lead. It's good.
And the pride and passion of the NBA's premier brand, the purple and gold.
Kobe with it on the right side. 15-footer good.
Kobe. We are Laker Nation. The ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network. The Lakers game is a final.
Final score.
This is the Lakers Locker Room Report. Hear instant analysis, highlights, and the first look at what's next for our Lakers. Brought to you by U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank is proud to sponsor the Lakers on ESPN LA. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Lakers Locker Room Report on the ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network. Andy Kamenetsky in the ESPN LA studios, joined by Michael Thompson from Staples Center. And before we break down tonight's 107-100 loss to the Boston Celtics, let's take 10 seconds for stations to identify themselves.
Mason and Ireland, weekdays noon to 3. KSPN, Los Angeles. ESPN LA, 710.
Lakers Locker Room Report on the ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network. And Andy Kamenetsky joined by Michael Thompson. And Michael, the Lakers outclassed for most of this game insofar as just trying to get over the hump. But I thought they really tried to give Boston as much of a fight as possible, made a real game of it.
They sure did. It was a very competitive game. Kobe put on a good show. 11 of 28 shooting, but I love the energy he played with. He was letting it all hang out one last time against the Celtics, and the fans really got caught up into it. They recognized what he was doing, and the place was a lot of fun tonight.
Well, right down to, Michael, right around the close of the first half, Kobe got a steal, and then instead of a breakaway layup, he turned it into a dunk. And I could not help but think, Michael, is this the last dunk of Kobe's career?
It could be, because I don't know if he'll have this kind of energy I guess maybe his last game he'll have this kind of energy again. So no, I'll say he'll get a dunk in his last game against Utah.
Yeah, but I mean, if nothing else, it's among the last handful, and it's just like a reminder of, Kobe's a former slam dunk dunk contest winner. He's used to be one of the best high fly acts in the league, and it's just another reminder that it really is coming to a close this season.
Oh yeah, each one of these quarters that are winding down, you can see the end of the road, baby.
Yeah, it really, it's these games now, as much as to me I thought some of the farewell tour when you're in LA felt a little bit anticlimactic just because some of the games Kobe wasn't participating in, and in the meantime, it was just sort of another game in Staples Center as compared to, all the pageantry on the road. We are now in a stretch, Michael, where you can tell the crowd is hyper aware of this is, if not the last time I'm going to see Kobe, pretty close.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's really caught up in the whole atmosphere of the whole thing, the whole sentimentality of it, and it's a special place to be as Kobe winds it down.
Yeah, and Kobe is, I think, super aware of this as well, too, and you can tell he is just trying to squeeze every ounce of basketball that he still has left in him, because right now, he is getting iced down, heat pads, treatment 24/7. It is a real slog for him just to get through these games.
No question about it. Tomorrow he can just lay on the couch all day and let his 3 beautiful ladies in his life just wait on him hand and foot.
But then, in the meantime, though, the minute you do that, even when you deserve it, like Kobe, you're still asking your wife to take care of you, and that can be dicey.
Oh, no. He's a lovely wife, 2 beautiful daughters. He's the king of his castle, as they say.
You know what? That's every man's wish to be the king of the castle. When we return, Michael, I want to ask you about a comment Byron said pregame that might take us a little bit into the way, way back machine, a little trip down memory lane. Andy Kamenetsky, Michael Thompson, Lakers Locker Room Report on the ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network.
It's the pride.
Kobe driving towards the hoop. Powers up, foul. Count if it goes, it goes. Kobe Bryant's going to get three the old-fashioned way.
And passion.
Over to Kobe. Three-pointer by Kobe. Good. Boy, did he bring his three-point game tonight.
And the history of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Magic down the middle, just what I thought. A hook shot at 12. Good!
It's the celebration of the greatness.
Hand off to Kobe. Two-handed slam dunk on the weak side.
And legendary performances.
9 to shoot. Gets the screen. Pulls up like one three. Buries it. 70 for Kobe. What did you say? What did you say?
I saw Kobe score 81 points.
From Kobe Bryant as he plays his farewell season. It's also a look to the future.
Left side, Hibbert, down low, Clarkson in front of the rim, scores, and the Lakers have the lead.
The history of one of the greatest franchises in sports is made here. The ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network. It's the pride and passion.
Over to Kobe, three-pointer by Kobe. Good. Boy, did he bring his three-point game tonight.
And the history of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Magic looking. 3 seconds. Scott for three to win it.
It's the celebration of the greatness and legendary performances from Kobe Bryant as he plays his farewell season. The history of one of the greatest franchises in sports is made here. The ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network. This is ESPN LA 710.
Lakers Locker Room Report on the ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network. Andy Kamenetsky in studio, joined by Michael Thompson from Staples Center. Lakers fall 107-100 to the Boston Celtics. And Michael, before the game, Byron told a really funny story about how when he was with the Showtime Lakers, and obviously you were a teammate of his, the Celtics-Lakers rivalry was so personal for him. I mean, he truly hated the Celtics so much that when he eventually became the coach of the New Jersey Nets, he was asked to do an interview pregame with Cedric Maxwell, a member of those Celtics who now does Celtics radio.
Right.
And he refused.
Really?
He actually said, I won't do it. I'm not sitting down talking with that guy.
Yeah, that's good to have. That's what the NBA needs more of. It's just too much touchy-feely, good vibes around the NBA. We need more arch rivals and animosity. Not where guys are going to fight, but guys really can't stand each other. That's good for the game.
Now, Michael, you are one of the more affable people I've ever met. You pretty much, you get along with everybody. You're always pretty positive. Did you hate those guys as much back then?
Oh, yeah, man. You definitely wanted to beat them and the Pistons and Portland when I was there, and Portland was a threat with Clyde Drexler and those guys. You ain't got time to be all chummy and laffy-daffy out there on the court. Man. You're trying to win, and they're trying to prevent you from being successful.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just funny to hear him say, even now at this point when, Maxwell retired, he had retired, he's coaching for a different franchise, he's basically saying, you know what, I'll take the fine before I do an interview with that guy. I really respect that.
Oh, yeah, you got to do that, man.
Oh, and Michael, by the way, I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you heard today's breaking news.
No.
Thon Maker is going to apply for the NBA draft.
Yeah, I heard that now. I think he qualifies. He's 19. He is a foreigner, right?
Yes.
He's not from here. He's from the Sudan. He's played in Canada. And whatever this funny stuff about this draft class or whatever, let the kid in. He's 19 years of age. He's a spitting image of what Kevin Garnett was at the same age. And if he's going to be eligible for the draft, I think he's going to number one pick.
I was going to say, this is a guy that you have spent a lot of time talking up. He's a big man. It seems like he'd be he's the type of big man that works in today's NBA, very mobile, can get up and down the court.
Yep.
You've talked him up, but you always thought about him as a 2017 draft guy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, Ben Simmons and Brandon Ingram, they fall back to 2, 3, 4, whatever. Thon Maker is the real deal, man. Just close your eyes and think of a 19, 20-year-old Kevin Garnett, and that's who he is.
Woo, that is tempting. It's going to be really interesting to see what direction the NBA goes with.
And if the Lakers get the number one pick and he's eligible, he's my pick.
And you know what, Michael? I will say this. You've been wrong about Tim Tebow and some football guys, but
What football guys?
You know NBA talent. You really do.
What did Tebow do when he got a chance to start? Tell me what he did. No,
we don't have enough time, Michael.
Exactly.
Though. Before we go, I wanted to, for people who are not aware, Michael's son Trace is a member of the Dodgers and is actually now a member of the 25-man roster. He is going to be part of the action tomorrow in San Diego for the Dodgers season opener. First pitch, 4:05. Congratulations, Michael, for Trace making the roster.
Thank you, man. It's really special. The Dodgers was my team growing up. It's honored, and I'm so proud to see him out there wearing the Dodger blue. And I tell you, he looks like he belongs. So if he gets some chances to get at the plate or get on the field, he'll produce.
I will say this: between Clay's championship and his ability right now to defend that championship, Trace getting called up and making the big roster, and you becoming an American citizen, 2016, everything is coming up Thompson, man.
Yeah, I told the boys, Clay and Trace, I want a double ring ceremony this year. I want the Warriors to repeat, and I want to see the Dodgers in the World Series winning it.
Well, congratulations, Michael. It's great. 107-100 loss to the Boston Celtics. When we return, Alan Sliwa will join to continue breaking down tonight's game. Lakers Locker Room Report, ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network.
This is ESPN LA 710.
Lakers Locker Room Report on the ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network. Andy Kamenetsky joined by Alan Sliwa, and the Lakers fall 107-100 to the Boston Celtics. Kobe's last game against Lakers' historic rival. And Alan, I mean, obviously the Celtics are a better team. You know, they're a legit Eastern Conference playoff team. And you figured heading into this one that the Lakers likely aren't going to win, but I did like the way they kept at it. And they did not, even though they kept falling behind, they did just keep swinging and kept
fighting.
Yep.
Kept fighting most of the time. I think they were down 17 at one point. Kobe ended up with 34 points. One other specific player to note, Randall ended up with 20 and 10, which he started the game off slow, really came on towards second, third, and fourth quarter. But exciting game. People who are at Staples or watching the game on TV from start to finish, it was definitely entertaining.
Yeah, and you know, honestly, we haven't gotten enough of those this year.
Yeah.
I mean, you have not gotten enough games that you would just look at and say, you know what, the entertainment value of this was up there. It was legit. And this was actually a pretty fun game to watch, you know, seeing these teams go back and forth, Boston in control, but the Lakers refusing to concede. And Kobe, I think, too, has become hyper aware of how much the fans want to see him just pull out whatever stops he's capable of in these last handful of games he's playing, and he's doing his best to oblige.
And Kobe, I mean, look into his eyes. We haven't had one of those moments where Kobe just had that fierce look in his face. He wanted to win tonight. He wanted a victory. His last opportunity to play the Boston Celtics. It wasn't a game like the Phoenix Suns or the Sacramento Kings. This is something that meant something to him. Ended up with 34 points, even though the Lakers didn't win. I thought it was exciting.
Yeah, he didn't give us a jaw jut. Wasn't a good enough game to give us the old, Kobe in his prime jaw jut. But he was into it, and it was still
waiting for a tea.
Pretty fun to watch. For those able to continue listening on ESPN LA, we will continue tonight's postgame coverage, eventually joined by Brian Kamenetsky. For everybody else, thank you very much for listening in. Andy Kamenetsky, Alan Sliwa. This is the Lakers Locker Room Report on the ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network.
You've been listening to the Lakers Locker Room Report, brought to you by Pizza Hut. Order tonight at pizzahut.com. Gardens Casino. Get your game on at the Gardens. Hear every second of Los Angeles Lakers basketball all season long, right here on the ESPN LA Lakers Radio Network. Memories of the Mamba.
He was a phenomenon, not just the best player in the game at a certain point, but he captured your imagination to the point where you didn't just want to compare him to other basketball players, you wanted to compare him to other athletes. He was one of those transcendent talents.
Hey, it's Kobe Bryant. I remember when Jerry West made the trade to get him, there was a buzz and excitement, anticipation, but I don't think anybody ever thought he would turn out to be one of the greatest Lakers of all time. You're listening to the home of the Lakers, ESPN LA 710.
Lakers basketball is a final. And now it's time for your chance to react.
Hi, it's Kobe Bryant.
Light it up, Southern California. This is the State Farm Postgame Show on your home for Lakers basketball. ESPN LA 710. Your first chance to let us know how you feel about the game and how our Lakers did. Plus full game recap and highlights. React now. 877-710 ESPN. This is the State Farm Postgame Show. State Farm. We exist to assist.
State Farm Postgame Show. State Farm, we exist to assist. Andy Kamenetsky joined by Alan Sliwa. Lakers fall 107-100 to the Boston Celtics inside Staples Center. Kobe's last go against the Lakers' historic rival. You could tell, Alan, that he was hyper aware that, not only is this the last time he's playing against the Celtics, but the fans were really charged up to see Kobe play his last game against the Celtics and just play his last games, period. And he was really in a mode from the beginning to put on a show for these guys.
He was attacking. He was trying to take the ball to the basket. He was challenging guys like Evan Turner, challenging guys like Jay Crowder, good defenders in the NBA. Boston is known for their defense, and they're a very talented young team. And he's done this a few times this year where he was going at some of these young players saying, okay, I understand how old you are and how you think a little bit of a swagger. They're going to make the playoffs this year. But he goes at him. Tonight was fun.
Yeah, and Kobe, the rivalry, the rivalry between the Celtics and the Lakers will always matter because it's just a rivalry that transcends sports. It is one of the greatest, most storied rivalries across sports. But right now, in the micro sense, doesn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. The Lakers are way down looking to rebuild. The Celtics have been rebuilding, but they're not true contenders. It's going to be a long time before they hopefully see each other in the finals again. But for Kobe, it's still going to mean something just because he knows the history so well. And then he has that personal history against the Celtics in the 2008 finals, where they lost, and then 2010 where the Lakers beat the Celtics.
It's good to see. I like letting D'Angelo Russell, Julius Randle, it's good for them to see what it means to Kobe. Because in a couple of years, potentially, if this young nucleus for the Lakers is facing this young nucleus for the Boston Celtics, and it doesn't have to necessarily take both of these teams facing each other in the finals, but if there are some meaningful regular season games, they have a little bit of an idea of what that history is.
Yeah, and you truly have to experience it to really know what it means. Kobe entered the league basically like a basketball encyclopedia.
Yeah.
He was pretty much like a historian of the game. He used to watch VHS cassettes that his grandfather would send him to Italy of the Showtime Lakers playing the Celtics, so he knew all about it. But he even admitted before these two teams started facing each other in the finals, the rivalry didn't mean anything to him as a player just because they were never good at the same time before that. And you have to experience it to understand it. So guys like Julius, D'Angelo, Jordan, they're not going to get it right away. But you're right, Alan. Seeing Kobe play the way he did tonight against the Celtics, even in what's ultimately a meaningless game, it'll give those guys a little bit of a taste of what it's about.
And they're going to, in the next year, 2, 3 years, the idea is they start creating their own rivalries. So maybe they start facing the Portland Trailblazers next year or the year after, and that becomes a rivalry to them because it's Damian Lillard versus D'Angelo Russell. But as they evolve, as this team hopefully, potentially, in the future becomes more competitive, they have something that they can compare it to.
Well, actually, it's funny. The team that I can picture, the team that seems like could become the Lakers' natural Western Conference rivals.
Minnesota?
Yep.
Yeah.
If
I agree with you on that.
everything breaks as planned for both of these teams, you could see them coming up at the same time, starting to really become playoff teams, then contenders, then actually battling each other in the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
They could become, hopefully, the new Lakers versus Spurs or the new Lakers versus Kings in the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem unrealistic to me. I think that is entirely possible, and we could be watching the beginning of that, which is really fun as a fan.
You could put the Utah Jazz potentially in that category, maybe even the Phoenix Suns. Not today, not tomorrow.
I was going to say Phoenix, man, they got bigger problems to worry about.
Man, and then I see Devin Booker. I didn't get too much to see him. He plays the Lakers for 2 games. I'm like, there's the next point guard in the league.
Look, I mean, I will say this, if Eric Bledsoe, Brevin Knight, and Devin Booker, maybe Alex Len, they've got pieces.
Sure.
But there's so much dysfunction. I mean, for all the dysfunction that we worry about in the front office with the Lakers and Jim Buss and Jeannie Buss, the Suns are truly a mess because what the Lakers are going through is sort of the natural order of things. The Suns thought they were on the right path, and not only did the rug get pulled out from under them, they pulled the rug out themselves. They were the one that actually undid themselves, and that's what you really have to worry about if you're a fan of a particular franchise.
Yeah, there are, I think the perfect way of saying it, like you mentioned, the Lakers are in a position where you do look at the front office, you're hoping they're now getting into that third year, I guess you can say, where this offseason will help dictate not only are the Lakers attracting the right players, are they developing the right players, is the foundation there from the front office, from the top to the bottom. We'll find out very, very shortly here now that there's only 6 games left in the year.
And we're talking about rivalries building. Before the game, Byron Scott told a really great story about how when he was a member of Showtime, the animosity towards the Celtics, those Bird, Parrish, McHale Celtics, Danny Ainge, was so bad that once Byron eventually became the coach of the New Jersey Nets, he was asked to do an interview with Cedric Maxwell, who was doing radio for the Celtics, still does.
Said, no, thank you.
Said, I'm not doing it.
I'm busy.
Won't do it. Basically said, I don't know if he got fined, but he basically said, rather take the fine than do the interview with this guy. And hearing that, I was like, you know what? That is taking pettiness and a lack of professionalism
to a whole new level.
Oh, it's just such a level that you have to respect it.
Right.
I actually respect that. It's so petty and so unwilling to move past those playing days. I was like, good on you, Byron.
Doesn't that explain Byron Scott in a nutshell, too?
Yes, it does.
When we talk about, or when he says, I'm from the old school, these kids have to do this, I'm going to teach them the hard way. It really does kind of put it in perspective. A story like that actually probably shouldn't surprise us about Byron Scott.
No, but you know what, though? I mean, most of these guys, as much as they hate each other, in really fierce rivalries, particularly during Byron's era, which was pre-AAU, these guys starting to become friends as they come up.
Yeah.
Usually guys let it go at a certain point. They actually learn, because they end up at part of the same front office or on the same coaching staff. They somehow learn to get past this. Byron was like, hell no, man. I'm not sitting down with cornbread to do an interview. No, not doing it. Yeah, I'll scratch out a check. I don't care. Not doing it. And again, it's so petty and unprofessional. I actually admire it.
MT was on with Cedric was on in the pregame show, and they were talking about it. Ireland they were just all going back and forth with A, and Cedric was asked. He was basically asked, I guess every year MT makes a bet with Cedric about something Lakers Boston related, and MT's bet this year is that the Lakers will have a better record than the Boston Celtics next year. John Ireland was pretty much making a motion that he'll pay the dollar.
Well, he may have to, but Michael's always going to stick by the Lakers. Coming up, we will hear from Byron Scott, also various players, 877-710-ESPN. Let us know your thoughts. Lakers fall 107-100 to the Boston Celtics. Andy Kamenetsky, Alan Sliwa, State Farm Postgame Show, ESPN LA.
Recapping everything from our purple and gold battle. You are listening to the State Farm Postgame Show. State Farm, we exist to assist. This is the State Farm Postgame Show on your home for Lakers basketball. ESPN LA 710.
Here's a steal by Kobe. Kobe on a breakaway. Slam dunk. Kobe has 18 in the half. Lakers trail by 11. Kobe also has 3 steals.
Defense creating offense, and in this particular case, this might have been the last dunk of Kobe Bryant's career. I mean, it is safe to say that there are not going to be that many left, and there's a good chance that steal led to the last dunk of Kobe's career. It was the McDonald's defensive play of the game. McDonald's has something new that might surprise you. Breakfast bowls. One loaded with egg white, turkey sausage, kale, and spinach. Not what you're expecting, right? Or try a scrambled egg and chorizo bowl. each for just $4.39. McDonald's, I'm loving it. State Farm postgame show, Andy Kamenetsky, Alan Sliwa, ESPN LA. Lakers fall 107-100 to the Boston Celtics in a very entertaining game. Kobe's last go at the Lakers, hated rival, also a hated rival of Byron Scott going back to his Showtime days. And Nexon has the coach's interview after every game. That coach is Byron Scott, and we have his interview right now, courtesy of Time Warner Cable Sportsnet.
They got to get a whole lot better defensively, individually as well as collectively. And that's been a problem all season long. So, they're young. Both of them are athletic enough, and they're both smart enough. They just got to get to the point where they take a little bit more pride in that end of the floor. And that's going to be big for us and moving forward.
Ernie Rule was kind of just out the way with Kobe in his last game. It's kind of just how he's feeling. You're going to go with that. Getting 33 minutes tonight. Just a lot.
We got two home games left, I think. So we'll probably play him 30-something minutes both those games as well. I know the fans would love to see him play 48, but that ain't going to happen. But he's going to play more minutes at home these last two home games, or I should say 3 with this included, than he's been getting the last month or two.
Didn't go for 40 tonight?
Disappointed we didn't win the game. Was what? I really didn't think about it until after he dunked it, I'm just glad that, again, he came down and he was healthy and he was able to get back on defense.
Talking about the defense again, how much of that, those guys, is technique, how much is understanding, how much is effort, how much is pride? How do you kind of divide up what they need to improve on?
A lot of it's just inexperience. Then I would say probably another 25% is just technique. The other, like you said, if I break it down, it's probably 15% of it is just knowledge of understanding who they're playing and their strengths and their weaknesses and what we want to do on that end of the floor against those guys. The least amount of that is effort. I don't think that's the problem. It's the problem as far as not understanding the coverages or not applying them against certain guys. Not being able to get over and through screens at times. So a lot of little things that they just got to get better, and a lot of that will come with experience.
B, did you feel the young bloods were feeling the extra juice in the house with Lakers Celtics?
I don't know if they did, but number 24 did. Like I said before the game, I don't think they understand the magnitude of this rivalry, and this is probably the first game in a while that KB was dead serious for the whole game. I mean, if you guys were watching his body language, if you were watching his facial expressions, he wasn't joking around tonight. He wasn't, smiling with other opponents. He wasn't talking a lot. He understands this series, so obviously he wanted to win this one badly. I don't know if other guys understand this, and hopefully in time they will.
Is it strange to lose game number 60 of the season and get a standing ovation?
I didn't know we got a standing ovation.
Probably for Kobe more than anything else, but just kind of, is it odd to, in these tough times, to still have the crowd be so much behind you on nights like these?
Yeah, probably so. I mean, like I said, I didn't hear it when I was walking off the court, but the one thing I do know is we got great fans. And I think our fans understand the last 2 years have been tough, and they're hanging in there just like we are, and we know this is going to turn around. So I think they're just showing their appreciation for tonight, especially for a team that went out and played pretty hard. I thought the first quarter, for the most part, we didn't come ready, and it took us a while to get going, which is a bad thing that we've been doing all season long. I kind of equate it to a boxing match. And that's what I asked guys at halftime. I said, how many of you guys have been in a real fist fight? Seriously. Well, I just asked them, a bunch of guys raised their hands. And then the question was, okay, in that fist fight, how many times did you just stand there and let him punch you in your face before you got ready to fight? Same thing in basketball. You can't come out and say, all right, I'm going to take the first 7, 8 punches, because most of the time the fight might be over. And our guys got to realize when you step on the court to start the game, it can't be let me get warmed up or let me get loose, especially against good teams.
And that was Byron Scott, courtesy of Time Warner Cable Sportsnet. Brought to you by Nexen Tire. Nexen Tire provides high-quality tires with the best warranty in the business. Learn more about one of America's fastest-growing tire brands at nexentireusa.com. Now that is an interesting halftime speech that Byron Scott gave to the guys. How many of you have been in a real fist fight? Raise your hands. Okay, now when you were fist fighting, how many times did you let guys just hit you in the face?
I would have to look at others and say, you guys can feel free to tell me how that went. I've really gotten many fist fights in my life. I know what he's trying to say.
No.
It is actually a good point in the sense that you take 7-8 punches before you actually put your fists up. Shows you how many fights I've got into. You actually put your fists up and start swinging back, and that's how Lakers start most of these games. It's a good reference.
I mean, as much as like the cliche, that they got punched in the mouth, I hate. But I mean, the point he's trying to make about how you can only take so many shots before you're going to go down.
Yeah.
So you need to be trading punches at the very least. The Lakers, the type of defense they were playing, they needed to be trading baskets. Because otherwise you're not going to win the game. And whether you're talking about trading punches or trading baskets, the Lakers weren't meeting force with force, and that's ultimately why they lost the game.
That was interesting, too. He talked about Kobe. Only 2 more home games left, so he's obviously not looking at the minutes, saying that at least at these games at Staples Center, he'll play 30-plus minutes. Tonight he played 33 minutes. What do you think about these road games? Because they still have the Clipper technically game, but they still have Houston, Oklahoma City, so they're still in New Orleans.
I think it's going to be,
be a little bit more conservative.
I think they're going to be attempting to find that sweet spot.
Yeah,
like what's the maximum that I can put out that isn't just the Mr. America perfunctory wave to the crowd, but still be able to save myself for April 13th. Because I mean, honestly speaking, everything right now for Kobe and the Lakers is about April 13th.
Yeah.
I mean, beyond just, seeing how well D'Angelo Russell, Julius Randle, Jordan Clarkson play, Larry Nance Jr., guys who matter moving forward, the overarching picture right now, and it should be for these last handful of games, is getting Kobe to that finish line. Because the whole point of the way everything has been conducted this season, for good or for bad, has been about this last game. So if Kobe can't play in it, can't play a reasonable amount of minutes without looking dead, it defeats the whole purpose of everything they've done this year.
And it's 6 games in 9 nights.
Yeah.
So starting on Tuesday, or maybe it's even less than that, but starting on Tuesday, the Lakers have the Clippers with 2 more occasions, obviously both at Staples. They play the Pelicans. They play Houston, Oklahoma City, and Utah. So it's a number of games in a small stretch of time.
Well, I can tell you right now, and this is just because I'm a petty jerk.
Yeah.
If I were Kobe, I would take off the New Orleans game. I wouldn't play in it. I wouldn't play in it. You know why? Because basketball reasons. No, because basketball reasons. #never forget.
You will never forget.
That would be my final gift to the then New Orleans Hornets, now New Orleans Pelicans, because the league, David Stern, overstepped their boundaries, negged the Chris Paul deal.
Did you hear
and
Ireland?
Everything the Lakers are going through right now is because of basketball reasons. #never forget. Kobe's a better person than me, so I'm guessing he's going to play in it. But were I Kobe, I'd sit that game out.
Did you hear Ireland
even say why.
Ask Adam Silver? They had him on last week. He said, can we now make that trade? Can we still get that trade back?
I mean, for real. When you think about everything that has happened with the Lakers that would not have happened as the result of basketball reasons, Steve Nash trade never would have happened.
Yeah.
You have Chris Paul there.
No,
Dwight Howard. If you wanted Dwight, if you wanted Dwight around, and even if you don't think Dwight can lead a franchise, if Chris Paul is there, he doesn't have to. You have your center moving forward. Who knows the type of stability that is there with Chris Paul moving forward? I mean, if you're mad at D'Angelo Russell in this situation with Nick Young, D'Angelo Russell likely isn't on this team if Chris Paul's there.
It started a number of different things by not having it. The reality is, unfortunately, that is the situation, and the Lakers haven't really rebounded.
The Mike D'Antoni thing never happened. This is how much Chris Paul could have changed things.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Brown might still be the coach of this team.
I think I screenshotted that trade, when it happened, it lasted for like a good hour and a half on ESPN.com. I think I still have a screenshot of them saying Chris Paul is a Los Angeles Laker. Probably one of the best hour and a half moments in my life over the last 4 or 5 years as a Laker fan.
I'll tell you, the only part of myself that was more bitter as a Laker fan about basketball reasons, #never forget.
He went to the Clippers.
Well, no. It was actually me as a writer. Because I had written up my entire piece about how everything that Chris Paul coming to the Lakers meant. Then all of a sudden I'm like about to file. I'm like, wait, what? What? How? No, that didn't even make sense. So I have to rewrite this thing on the fly about what happens now. And I mean, on so many levels. #never forget, Alan. Never forget.
Well, he better play New Orleans.
If he plays.
After all that.
If he plays, he better destroy them. Coming up, thoughts from Julius Randle, Jordan Clarkson. Take calls, 877-710-ESPN. Hit me up on Twitter, @CamBrothers. Hit Alan up, @Alan Sliwa, SLIWA. We should be joined by my brother Brian at any moment. State Farm Postgame Show, ESPN LA.
Recapping everything from our purple and gold battle. You are listening to the State Farm Postgame Show. State Farm, we exist to assist. This is the State Farm Postgame Show on your home for Lakers basketball. ESPN LA 710.
Russell into the front court. Russell down the middle. Russell all the way. Foul and a bucket. D'Angelo Russell took it to the rim. Knocked over Jerebko. Laid it in. Gets the blocking foul and the hoop. 8 for D'Angelo. Lakers by 3. Going to the line to try and convert the three-point play.
Tough shooting night for D'Angelo Russell. 4-14 from the floor, but that layup with the and one foul to boot. Great play for the young rook and hopeful future of the Lakers. The drive of the game brought to you by Subaru Santa Monica. Stop by Subaru Santa Monica today and experience the new one-price policy. Learn more about it at SubaruSantaMonica.com. An LA Car Guy dealership. State Farm Postgame Show. Andy Kamenetsky, Alan Sliwa. Lakers fall 107-100 to the Boston Celtics. Kobe's final matchup against the Lakers, historic rival. And you can tell, Alan, he was really enjoying this game. I mean, Byron was talking about how locked in he was. This is one of the few games this season where he wasn't, exchanging pleasantries or talking up with guys, during dead balls. He was pretty locked in, I think, out of respect towards, what this has meant to the franchise history. But I'm sure now that it's over, it's another experience this season that he can enjoy probably more than he expected heading into this season.
I was curious to see his reaction after the game. He treated the players after the game like he has been, but he didn't treat the players during the game like he has been. When he's played the Memphis Grizzlies or the Phoenix Suns or the Denver Nuggets, he didn't have that look. He didn't have that Kobe mentality that we're obviously very accustomed to. But on the court tonight, you could tell that the fans were kind of feeding off him. Some of the players were feeding off of him as well. It didn't seem like a team that has 16 wins on the season. And I know I emailed you and Brian getting a little worried. I'm starting to get a little concerned here. The Phoenix Suns keep dropping. But can you tell me who Thon Maker is? You and MT, I'm going to spend all night trying to learn a little bit more about Thon Maker, who you're saying could potentially be a number 1 pick if he's qualified.
Well, Thon Maker is a young big man, I want to say from Senegal. Mm-hmm. I'm looking that up right now, but he has played, I believe, Sudanese. I apologize. He is Sudanese. He's played with Canada. He's got some professional time under his belt. Michael has described him as like a young, raw, but talented Kevin Garnett in the making. And Michael has talked up this kid for at least a good year now. And it has been thought that Thon Maker would be would be a member of the 2017 draft class. Like, he would be the type of player that it would have been worth the Lakers losing their pick if you thought they might be bad enough to keep the number 1 pick next year. Because the Lakers lose their pick this year.
Right.
They get their pick next year. And I was talking with Michael earlier tonight, and he said that if Thon Maker is deemed eligible by the league to join the draft this season, he's the number 1 pick.
Wow.
Like he bumps Ben Simmons, he bumps Brandon Ingram. Well, look, as great a players as you think Ben Simmons or Brandon Ingram could be, they are positionally and physically, in terms of size, stature, skill set, they're the type of players that even if they're great, you can more easily find other guys potentially like them. Thon Maker is the type of guy that if you believe the hype, there aren't too many other guys like him. You know, like Anthony Davis is almost impossible to replicate because there's so few players with his size, with that type of dexterity, that type of ball handling skill, that type of shooting touch, that type of overall awareness. You can't make that to a certain degree. The way Michael and other people have talked about Thon Maker, he's also that type of player.
What it does for the Lakers, since it's a top 3 protected pick, we keep hearing Ben Simmons, we keep hearing Brandon Ingram, but then it's like, so who's that third pick? Is it potentially a European player? Is it Buddy Hield? Is it some of these other? But there hasn't been a solidified, that's who we think that number 3 pick is. If he did go into the draft, then worst case scenario, you're either ending up with a Thon Maker, a Ben Simmons, or Brandon Ingram if you keep your top 3
That's an interesting way of looking about it. I mean, and it's funny, too. I mean, Thon Maker's journey maybe towards the NBA has been so unusual. He is Sudanese, and he's played with Australia.
Yep.
Played with Canada. Spent time in the U.S. I mean, it's just been the circular route, just, topsy-turvy, curvy, never know quite where he's going to end up.
It does say, he played high school all 4 years here in the U.S.
Yeah, but, I know he spent time recently in Canada, I think, playing professionally, and now he is putting
Hopefully he
himself
gets
out
in.
there. I was
That'd
say,
be great
he's
if he
putting
gets
himself
in.
out there as eligible. I believe he's 19 years old. It'll be interesting to see where the league decides, what they decide to do, because this is a potential game changer, not just for this year's draft, but maybe for the one-and-done rule.
Yeah. If he does get in, and then the Lakers end up not getting a top 3 pick, I hope he then gets out. Those are the 2 scenarios I think we need to focus on. But it really could have an impact on the Lakers, because all we keep talking about is this top 3 potential pick, and that number 3 spot, for me personally, I don't care where the Lakers get it, 1, 2, or 3. If they're fortunate enough to get a top 3 pick after, obviously this circus of a season, then you might call this season that there was some success there that we can look back on. I mean, of course, we're going to look back on Kobe's career. We're going to look back on hopefully these players developing as much as they possibly could have. But if they end up with a top 3 pick, and then at number 3 they can draft Brandon Ingram or Ben Simmons, that's not bad either.
By the way, too, if Thon Maker is eligible for the draft, if the league decides that he can actually enter this year's draft, I already know the pun Michael Thompson is going to make talking about this. He's going to ask, will this be the season that the Lakers meet their maker? I guarantee. He just
pulled over on the road. He just pulled over on the side of the road right now while he's leaving, and MT just wrote it.
Bronstein, does that sound believable? That could be that's going to be something. That's going to be the question that Michael Thompson poses to Mike Trudell at some point during Thompson and Trudell.
I almost feel like it's a guarantee, but the only problem is Michael's off tomorrow because he's going to San Diego to go see Trace.
Oh, you know what, though? This will carry till Tuesday. I guarantee this is big enough.
He'll have time.
Oh, well, I mean, first of all, who knows? They might make the decision on Tuesday. They might make, or the league might comment by Tuesday. There's all sorts of stuff.
That's an interesting twist.
Yeah, even though Michael's skipping his own show tomorrow, I thought, though, he might actually say, you know what? I know Trace, it's his opening day, but Thon Maker. Why does Michael, by the way, need like a 6-hour lead time for San Diego?
Is there really a father out there that has one son playing for the Dodgers and another son playing for the Golden State Warriors, and his third son, isn't he in Europe?
He's playing in Europe.
What is he breeding over there?
Machines. Them some good genes in the Thompson family, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that is some good athletic stock.
I want to ask you: Are you surprised Lou Williams didn't get any playing time tonight? Was there a specific, or that was just, hey, we know what we got with Lou. Let's just let some of these.
Well, I mean, look, Byron has spent a lot of time
developing
Lou Williams. He spent a lot of time really developing Lou.
That's the one thing we can take out of this year.
At this point, I think you could argue now nearing the end of, I believe, his 12th season, especially thanks to Byron, Lou is now fully developed. So because Lou is now fully developed, he doesn't need to play these last handful of games because he's now fully developed. I mean, again,
mission accomplished.
Well, no, it's not often that a coach can take I believe Lou is like 30 or 31, but it's not often that a coach can take a raw 30-year-old and develop him in just one season. But thankfully, Byron put his mind to it, and
it's
here we
picture
are now.
Perfect.
I honestly don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious to know if there was an actual reason. If this was just like you said, they've seen enough of him, they've seen enough of Brandon.
We know
Bass.
what we've got.
They want to get a look at some other guys, or if who knows? I mean, if you want to really start getting, peeling back the layers of the rumor mill onion, you could wonder if Lou Williams, who had been reported as one of the guys freezing out D'Angelo Russell, if there's friction, something along those lines. My guess is that it's something more simple.
Yeah.
Basically just we've seen enough of Lou Williams this season.
Yeah.
There's really no reason to play him over this last handful of games.
He fades to the left and he draws fouls.
Well, I mean, look, all kidding aside, the other reason you don't need to see as much of Lou Williams, aside from the fact that, again, we know what Lou Williams is at this point, Kobe's minutes are going to start to go up.
Yeah.
And they're going to start to go up at a time where you don't want to be taking away any minutes from Jordan Clarkson or D'Angelo Russell. And Marcelo Huertas, obviously, 30-ish-year-old rookie, doesn't need to be developed, but he organizes an offense pretty well. And if you want to try to keep things as much
in order,
I was going to say as much on the rails, much on the rails as this season can offer, because most of the offense looks just completely discombobulated.
Yeah.
It's going to look better with Huertas running it than Lou Williams running it.
When we have, I know we're coming up to a break here shortly, but I'm very, very curious to get your opinion on what the Boston Celtics have built, not just for this year. They're sitting right now in fourth place in the Eastern Conference. They're 45-32. They have 8 draft picks coming up. I think 3 of those are in the first round in this 2016 draft, and 5 of those in the second round. I'm bringing that to the topic because are they building some type of blueprint that more teams should be looking at and saying, look, in this rebuilding process that you have, they look pretty darn successful with what they're doing over there, and they're not only successful today, it looks like they're also building for the future.
Well, talk about that when we come back. Also want to make sure, obviously, a lot of focus on Kobe Bryant in his final season, the farewell tour, and these last handful of games for his career. But there is another guy who absolutely deserves some mention for everything that he has meant to the Lakers, and I want to make sure that we spend a little time talking about him as well. Andy Kamenetsky, Alan Sliwa, State Farm Postgame Show, ESPN LA.
Recapping everything from our purple and gold battle. You are listening to the State Farm Postgame Show. State Farm, we exist to assist. This is the State Farm Postgame Show on your home for Lakers basketball. ESPN LA 710.
Here's Isaiah. Give it down the middle. Amir Johnson throws it up. Can't finish. Rebound Randall. Here come the Lakers.
Need a quick 3.
Trailing by 7. They get the ball to Russell. Back to Randall. Right to the rim. Lay it up. Foul a bucket.
The old-fashioned way.
104-99.
Strong move by Julius Randle to the bucket, part of his 20-point, 10-rebound performance. He is the Fantasy Springs Resort Casino Lakers Player of the Game. Fantasy Springs Resort Casino, located in the beautiful Palm Springs area, offers you all you need for a fun-filled getaway or complete destination vacation. Whether your fantasy includes luxurious hotel rooms, exciting Vegas-style gambling options, fabulous dining, world-class entertainment, golf, or poolside lounging, you'll find it at Fantasy Springs Resort Casino. State Farm Postgame Show. Andy Kamenetsky, now joined by Brian Kamenetsky, Alan Sliwa, ESPN LA. And are we joined by, a couple minutes away, we are going to have a surprise guest to help us preview the man who might have turned the draft upside down, one Thon Maker.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
This is a very big deal. Thon Maker, Sudanese big man by way of like Australia, Canada. the U.S., and the man to break him down is none other than ESPN LA's own Michael Thompson. Michael, how are you, man?
I'm so excited hearing this news, man. The NBA's got to grant this young fella draft status because if it happens and the Lakers get the number one pick, Thon's already thinking about changing his name to Thon Laker.
Nice, Michael. I don't know if...
And when the Lakers draft them, they're going to change our names to the Los Angeles Makers.
Nice. Very nice. Now, tell me, for everybody unfamiliar with Thon Maker and his backstory and what he is as a player, can you break that down for everyone?
And there's the thing about Thon Maker. He's got a little brother who might be better than him.
Really?
Wow. Looks exactly like him. They're about 7 feet tall. And basically, just think Kevin Garnett at 19, 20 years of age. He can handle the ball like Julius Randle. He can make moves like he's 6'4". He can post up. He goes to the basket, dunks on you. He is the best prospect in this draft if they allow him to come out, despite the presence of Brandon. He's a more athletic, more skilled Brandon Ingram. Put it that way.
Wow. And this is something. I mean, you had been high on him for a while. I remember you talking about him last season, but you had just never thought that he might be part of this year's draft.
Yeah, this kid's so special, man. He went to Canada. He's one of those special kids, but you got to put him in a certain position to make sure, he's protected and he's in the best situation to keep improving and enhancing his career. And that's why he went up to Canada to go to one of the top prep schools there. And believe me, for me, he's qualified. He's a foreigner. He's not like a typical American high school player. So the NBA should give him a draft status so he can be drafted this year. He's special. He can do it all.
So, MT, what this could mean for the Lakers then, if they do end up with that top 3 pick, even let's say it's not Thon Maker, but it bumps down Ben Simmons, it bumps down Brandon Ingram, that number 3 spot where it was more of a question mark, you don't know if it's Buddy Hield or you don't know if it's Dragan Bender, Lakers could end up in a great spot for one of these top 3 picks.
Yeah, they got now Thon Maker's in the draft. That means you got 5 big-time players who can really make a difference on their team someday when you add in Buddy Hield and Dragan Bender. All these guys are big-time prospects, so the Lakers are guaranteed to get at least Simmons, Ingram, or Maker, so as they hold on to their top 3 picks. So this is great news for the Lakers, so all the Laker fans should really pay attention over the next few days to see if the league's going to allow him draft status, because if he is number 1 pick, we were wondering, well, where's that next superstar? Where's that next franchise player for the Lakers going to come from once Kobe leaves? And if we get the number 1 pick and he's there, that's the guy.
Now, Michael, how would you say that his experience stacks up against, say, like a Ben Simmons or a Brandon Ingram, like a one-and-done college kid?
Oh, what do you mean his experience up in Canada?
Exactly. Like in terms of the basketball that he's played and just the type of experience that he has playing basketball.
Oh, he's fine. He's fine because he's played in the same AAU circuit as those other guys have played. He went all against all these guys. So, believe me, he's more talented than all these other guys. So don't worry about him not having to go through that waste of a year in the NCAA in college basketball. That means nothing. This kid is the real deal.
Now, Michael, I wanted to ask you, too, because tonight wasn't just about, the countdown to Kobe and his last time playing against the Celtics. Gary Vitti, the longtime trainer of the Lakers, is also retiring after this season in terms of being the full-time trainer for the team. He was honored with a video tribute, a jersey with a medical cross on it, getting 2 first-class tickets from the team to Italy, where he vacations every year. What has Gary Vitti meant to this organization, and what was your relationship like with him when he was your trainer?
He's as important to the Lakers' success as anybody's, from Jerry West to Pat Riley to Mike Dunleavy, who took the Lakers to the finals, even though he didn't win it, to all the players that have come through here. Gary Vitti has treated these players, kept them healthy, got them ready to play after injuries. So he has been as important to the Lakers' success as anybody who put on a Laker uniform, because he's a confidant. You can talk to him about anything. He gives you solid, sound advice on stuff that's going on off the court in your life that can help you adjust and make the game a little easier for you. So believe me, he's a special person, and the Lakers are going to desperately miss him when he's no longer around every day.
And Michael, there are a lot of guys who, over the course of the last 5 or 6 or 7 years, have left the organization for one reason or another. Gary Vitti and Kobe Bryant now this year retiring, certainly after putting in their time. How hard is it, though, do you think, for the organization to replace the kind of institutional knowledge that these guys bring? I mean, these are connections to championship teams that are no longer going to be around in the same way.
Oh, no question about it, man. They're going to be irreplaceable. You're going to miss Kobe, miss Gary. But one thing about the Lakers, they go out and get the next best thing. They'll bring in the best possible trainer with the recommendation of Gary Vitti, of course. They'll use him as a consultant and whoever they hire next. So you know whoever they bring in is going to be a top-notch, top-flight, top-of-the-line trainer to take care of such valuable property like these players. So, and then, of course, Kobe can't be replaced. Maybe, who knows, maybe Thon Maker will look forward to in the future. But Kobe, there's only one Kobe.
MT, how impressed were you with Boston tonight? That rebuilding process probably went a lot faster than most people thought.
Yeah, they look good. They had a big win up in Golden State, so I thought they may be coming here tonight a little flat and with a little bit of a mental letdown. But, Lakers gave them a good battle, and those guys showed that they are legit. And right now they, possibly a third seed in the East, and they're going to be a tough out for any one of the two or the number one or number two team in the East, Toronto or Cleveland. So that's not a series that Cleveland and Toronto can automatically assume to win.
Well, Michael, this is really potentially exciting news for Lakers fans, for the NBA. If Thon Maker ends up draft eligible this year, it's going to be something everyone's going to be keeping their eyes on, and I know you are going to be monitoring this story in particular. Again, congratulations on Trace making your son Trace making the Dodgers 25-man opening roster and tomorrow's season opener in San Diego. Have a really good time down there watching your son play, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's really proud of him and thrilled for him. And, to put a Dodger blue, it's an amazing honor.
Yeah, it's been a good year for you, Michael. Thank you very much, man. We appreciate you calling in.
You bet.
And that was Michael Thompson, ESPN LA's own, former Showtime great. And, boy, it's a big 24 hours for Michael Thompson. Trace Thompson.
24 hours. The guy's had the greatest year in history.
Oh, yeah. Everything is coming up Thompson these days.
Right. The less successful Thompson son plays professionally, I believe, in Italy this year.
He grew up in the Bahamas.
Things are doing good.
He was born, he had a beautiful life.
Well,
it's been too bad.
You try crossing that ocean in a coconut shell like Michael did. It's not easy to do.
Michael made, what Tom Hanks and Castaway went through. What Michael did?
Right. Michael did the equivalent of actually riding across on Wilson.
Exactly. Well, you know what?
Tiny little Wilson boat.
Michael didn't even have Wilson. Michael didn't even have a friend like Wilson when he crossed over. He had to do that thing by himself.
It was just a rock.
It was a
little rock that he found.
And he didn't even have the paint that he could put on the rock to make a face.
Poor faceless rock. I'm telling you, it was really, there was a lot with Kobe in postgame today, just in terms of bouncing everywhere. I mean, everything he talks about makes you want to ask, one other question or pick his brain about this. People talking to him about 2010 and how much that meant, and Kobe just reiterating how unacceptable it would have been to lose twice to the Celtics. Like, you can't be the guy who loses twice to Boston, let alone 2 finals in 3 years. You can't lose twice to Boston. It's just unacceptable. And going back to there and connecting that to the difference in the rivalry now. I mean, one of the things that I was alluding to with Michael that goes away with Kobe is kind of that connection to the most recent incarnation of the Lakers rivalry, and certainly the one that went on the Showtime years that Kobe was so familiar with. It's going to be hard to regenerate that.
Well, I mean, I remember during the 2010 season and then leading up to those finals, and then afterwards, Kobe talking about how, as much as he grew up, not just a basketball junkie, but like a basketball historian.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe, from even as a young kid, knew everything about the league, and he grew up watching VHS tapes that his grandfather sent him of the Showtime Lakers playing the Celtics. He
had his father to kind of talk to him about
that. Was one of the reasons he wanted to be a Laker so badly. But he even admitted, for most of his time in the league, that rivalry didn't really mean anything to him, in terms of charging him up as a player, because for so long those teams were not good at the same time.
It's funny too, because now it really would take the Lakers and Celtics meeting again in the finals, which is a very hard thing to do. I mean, LeBron and Kobe never did it. Just to have that come up again. Brad Stevens before the game was asked about the rivalry, and he said something, I know, Andy, that we've talked about too. We grew up in St. Louis. He grew up, I think, in Iowa, and it seemed like because it was the only game you ever saw, the game of the week on CBS or NBC or whatever it was. It seemed like the Lakers and Celtics played every single week. Like they played 12 or 15 times a year, and that was the only game you saw. And what Brad Stevens said was it was probably in his memory, it was probably the Celtics play the early game, the Lakers play the late game. But in your head, they're always on TV, and you kind of blend that to them always playing each other. Every game is on now. NBA TV shows some. There 5 or 6 or 7 national games a week. So you see everything. And so that diminishes it even more. And then the players go to the AAU thing, Alan, and they're not as angry. So I don't know. I don't think you're going to be able to capture that kind of rivalry in almost anything, save little things like Clippers, Warriors, and teams that.
It's going to be more in conference.
I was going to say it's going to be either in the same conference or in the same division. That's where you're starting to garner most of those.
And I don't think they'll last as long.
Well, I mean, what you hope for. I mean, this is the thing that you hope for when you root for a team like the Lakers that right now is looking to rebuild and they're looking to create a young foundation. Is that you have the opportunity to A, build a good one, but B, that it will come up at the same time as a team like the Timberwolves. Mm-hmm. And hopefully in 3 to 5 years, that's one of the best rivalries in the NBA. Like you look forward to watching those two teams come together, and the timeline for them, at least potentially, is spot on.
Sure, and you could look at it, and there are 3 or 4 teams that are like that. You could see, Portland very well run. They've got some assets, could be on the way up. Utah seems like they're going in the right direction. San Antonio is just going to be good forever, and Golden State certainly has a window, and they're run by very smart people. But I think the Celtics and the Jazz in particular, the way the two teams the Lakers have played, and the Lakers will see the Jazz again, are kind of the model for what you hope the Lakers can be in terms of how quickly they can improve and make themselves truly relevant again. I mean, those are teams that have done the rebuilding, and they've used young players, and they're going in the right direction.
And there is an opportunity in the Western Conference. What I mean by that is you can be a 500 team and make the playoffs. That hasn't been the case in the West. That hasn't been the case in the West for a long time. Even, let's say, Memphis, they'll get healthier. Portland, they lost LaMarcus Aldridge, which is why they're 41-37. And
right, but the flip side of that is they were supposed to be terrible this year and have worked their way up.
100%. But Dallas is getting a little bit older. Mm-hmm. Like you said, Utah's moving their way up. But there is this window where potentially you can be a team that's 3, 4, 5 games over 500 and maybe not even make the playoffs, but you're fighting.
Gives you a lot of optimism for next year, though. But Andy, I mean, it also says too. You look around the league, Denver. There are 4 or 5 players on the Nuggets. Like those guys are pretty good. Minnesota, they've got some great young talent. It is very hard.
Sure. Anthony Davis, we didn't even get to play this year.
They're a tire fire. I mean, you get to this Western Conference declaration for next year, even just getting to the playoffs, it is so difficult because every team you look at it and you're like, gosh, there are 3 or 4 guys I'd love to have on my team. And the Lakers have a few of them, but so does everyone else. So it is tough.
But the best you can hope for if you're a team in the Lakers position is that you can at least truthfully look at your foundation and say, all right, they could be good moving forward. I think the Lakers absolutely can do that. Next game coming up, Clippers playing host to the Lakers for the final time in Kobe Bryant's career. We'll see what tribute, if any, they put out for Kobe and how well they actually do
just give a big hug.
Buki, Daniel, our apologies for not being able to get to you. State Farm Postgame Show, Andy Kamenetsky, Brian Kamenetsky, Alan Sliwa, ESPN LA.